Hi friends, I'm myself Yakuta Karkhanawala. Today we are going to discuss about the topic flowchart and algorithm. Here, in case of programmers, before starting with the coding part, we either write down the algorithm or draw the flowchart, which will give us better understanding of the steps involved that will be involving in the coding purpose. Also, it will do some preliminary testing whether the concept or the features has been incorporated properly or not. After everything gets finalized, then afterwards we'll do the coding part. Okay, so let's understand how to write down the algorithm or how to draw the flow chart before doing the coding part. You can use either algorithm or flowchart. Both the processes not compulsory. As per our needs, you can select one out of one. Right? So today we'll see how to write down algorithm. The first we are going to see how to write down the algorithm. So what is algorithm is? Algorithm is sequence of steps to solve a problem. So any problem which we have been given, what we'll do is we'll write down the steps of it, which would be the first step, which would be the second, and which would be our last step. Okay, so the steps are always written pointwise. That is point number 1, 2, 3, 4 up to the last point. In case of algorithm, the first point should be start and the last point should be stop. In between we are going to write down the points, the statements which will be required for solving our problem. Okay, let's see a basic example. Like I want to write down my daily routine. So we'll write down in stepwise what would be the first step, second step, and what would be my last step. That is known as algorithm. So I'll write down the algorithm for my daily routine. What is my first step is, I'll always start with the start word. Next is wake up and brush our teeth. After doing the brush, we'll take the breakfast. Then study or complete your homework. Then we'll have the lunch. The next step would be study again. Then afterwards we'll have a dinner and go to sleep, right? And then the last point should be the stop point. So this is our algorithm for our daily routine, a basic daily routine, right? Writing it stepwise, 1, 2, 3, 4, starting it with start and ending it with stop, right? Next is flowchart. What is flowchart? So flowchart is pictorial or graphical representation of the program, right? Why do we require to learn flowchart? Since it's a graphical representations, we are all aware that the graphical representations are much better than the textual representation. Why? Because it gives more clarity. It will help us to understand the better flow of the program nicely compared to algorithm, which is writing different statements line by line. The flow is finding out the flow of the program using algorithm. It becomes a bit tedious compared to the flowchart, right? In case of flowchart, we have to learn different symbols. Using that symbols, we are going to make the flowchart. So what are the different symbols available for drawing a flowchart? The first one is start and stop symbol. The start and stop symbol is either oval or you can use a rectangle with rounded sides. Okay. Inside that, we'll use the word start when we are starting the flowchart, and we'll use a word stop when we want to end our flowchart. Okay. Next is processing symbol. That is, if you want to perform any arithmetic operations like additions of two numbers, subtractions of two numbers, or you want to update any values, like you want to give the value equal to 5 or equal to something, then we'll use the processing symbol. For processing symbol, the symbol is rectangle symbol, in which inside this we are going to write down the processing task. That is, I have written mention here, C is equal to A plus B. It means I am doing the addition of two numbers and storing the result in C. But the symbol that I have to use for processing is rectangle. Next is flow line. If you want to connect different symbols together, then we require a flow line symbol. The flow line is in a simple arrow. You cannot keep a symbol all symbols separate, but you have to connect each and every symbols using this arrow sign. Next is input-output operations. Input-output means if you want to read some data from the keyboard or display it onto the screen, then we'll be using the input-output symbol. What is that symbol? Parallelogram, right? So if you are doing input-output operations, then we'll use the word read or input. If you are using for displaying purpose, we'll use the word display, print or output. Let's say for example, I will use a parallelogram symbol. Inside it, if I write read A means I am using it for input purpose, reading a value which will be stored in A. If I want to display it, then I'll use the word print. Print A means I'm going to display the value stored in A. Next is decision making symbol. Decision making symbol means I want to test for some conditions in our program. The output of the conditions is either true or it can be either false. So for conditions, the symbol is rhombus or the kite symbol. Inside kite symbol, you start with the word if. In bracket, you write down the conditions. The output would be there would be two output. One would be the true. So if the condition is true, you go across, take the path of true. If the condition is false, and then you take the path of false. Next is connector symbol. Connector symbol is used when your flowchart is quite big. Your flowchart does not get accommodated in one single page. You want to extend your flowchart in number of different pages. Then we'll be using connector symbol. What is the symbol? A small rectangle, circle, and inside the circle we are going to write down the label. The label can be A, B, C, D or 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's see. Say I have it an example here. Page 1. I'm starting my flowchart, do some processing, but still my flowchart is not complete. It's incomplete and it does not get accommodated in this particular page. So I'll end my flowchart with a connector symbol in which I mentioned the label A. I'll continue the flowchart in the next page with this, but I'll start it with the connector symbol A, and then I'll continue my flowchart and I'll end it with stop. Okay, so my page 1 connector symbol A is connected with the page 2's connector symbol A. Still, if you want to extend it to the third page, then use a new connector symbol with a new label B and so on in the same format. Okay. So let's see one example of adding two numbers, for which we are going to write down the algorithm and also we will draw the flowchart of this. So first is algorithm. For algorithm, as I said, we'll start with the word start. So the first point would be start. Since I want to add two numbers, so first I have to input that numbers. So for inputting, I'll use input A comma B, means I'm going to input two numbers A and B, right? Next is do some processing on this number, that is sum is equal to A plus B, means I'm going to add A and B and the result I'm going to store it in sum. Now I want to display the result of the sum, so print sum, and the last is stop. So this is a very simple example of writing an algorithm for addition of two numbers. Now the same algorithm, the points of the algorithm, I'll convert it into a flowchart. So for flowchart, as I said, it will start with the start symbol. Next is I want to read two numbers. So the symbol for reading is parallelogram, in which ideally you can use the word input or read. Input A comma B means I'm going to read two numbers A and B. Next is I want to do addition. So for addition, then I'll be using processing symbol. That is sum is equal to A plus B. So use a symbol of rectangle. Then display the result. So again use a parallelogram symbol, and inside that I'll use the word print because I want to display it onto the screen. So print sum. So the value of sum will be displayed onto the screen. Now next is I want to end my flowchart, so I'll use the stop symbol. Okay. So this is about flowchart and algorithm of addition of two numbers. A very simple problem or example to understand algorithm and flowchart. Let's come to the next one. So next example is finding out maximum of two numbers. In this particular example, we are going to introduce a new symbol, that is decision symbol, conditional symbols. Okay, so let's see how to test some conditions. Okay, how to incorporate a condition in an algorithm and in a flowchart. So let's start. The first is start. Second is read a comma b, means I'm going to input two numbers. Now I want to put the conditions in my algorithm. So how we are going to put a condition in an algorithm? If a greater than b, right? If the condition is true, a greater than b, then go to some point number. You give some point number here. So after then whatever you will write, that would be executed if the condition is true. After else whatever you will write, that would be executed after if the condition is false. So if a greater than b, then go to point 4, number 4. What is our point number 4? Print a is maximum number. Okay, so if the condition is true, I'll come to point number 4, and in that a is maximum number would be displayed. After displaying a is maximum number, I want to stop my algorithm, but I don't know the point of stop. So right now I'll simply write go to some point number. The point number is blank right now. That I'll write down later on. Now next, if the condition is false, what I have to do is I'll print b is maximum number, which is this point number 6. This 6th number point you have to write down in point number 3. So if the condition is false, whatever you have written after else will be executed. Whatever that is else, go to 6. So what is my 6th number point? Print b is maximum number. And now I want to stop my algorithm. So I'll use a stop as my last statement of my algorithm. Now this 7 number point, do not forget to write in point number 5. It is print a is maximum number, and after that go to 7. What is 7? It is stop. Okay, so this would be the flow of your algorithm. As you can see here, the flow is tracking the flow of this particular diagram. It's a bit tedious here. Let's understand the same thing using flowchart. Start. First read two numbers a comma b. Then test a condition. If a greater than b, now there will be two output lines, true and false. So if a greater than b is true, the symbol is rhombus. If a greater than b is true, then print a is maximum. Use the symbol of parallelogram. If the condition is false, then print b is maximum number. After printing b is maximum number, I'll stop my flowchart. But you can see that if my condition is true, I have written print a is maximum, and I have not stopped it. So now after placing the stop symbol, I'll connect it with an arrow. Okay, so this will end my complete flowchart. Next, let's see one more example to check whether a number is even or odd. We'll see how to write down the algorithm, and then we'll start the flowchart of it. So start. First you have to read a single number, so read number. Now to check the condition, use if, within the bracket you write down the condition. What is my condition? Number modulo 2 equal 0. It means what? Modulo sign is used to find out the remainder of the division operation. I'm dividing the number by 2 and I'm finding the remainder. The remainder would be either 0 or it would be 1. Right? So if the remainder is equal 0, means the condition would become true. But if my remainder is 1, then 1 equal 0 will become false. Okay? So if number modulo 2 equal 0, the number is true, then you go to point number 4. What is my point number 4? That display the number is an even number. Now I have to stop, so I'll use go to, and I don't put on the point number of stop, so I'll write down, keep it incomplete here. If condition is false, then whatever you have written after else would be executed. So if condition is false, then go to point number 6. What is 6? That the number is number is an odd number, and then stop. Now this 7 number point, mention it in 5 numbers, so the flow algorithm gets completed here. Okay, so you see, we'll see once again in point number 3. If number modulo 2 equal 0, then go to 4. What is 4? Display one number. Go to 7. 7 means stop. Again come back to find point number 3. That is, if number modulo 2 equal 0 if false, then go to 6. What is a 6 point? Display odd number and then stop. Okay, so this is the complete flow of your algorithm where you have incorporated conditions. Now for flowchart, start it with the start symbol, then read the number. After reading the number, you test for the condition. If number modulo 2 equals 0, and if it is true, then print the number is even number and stop. But if the number is false, then print the number is odd number and then stop. Okay, so very similar to the previous example, but the condition is different. The statements, the display statements are different here. Okay, so that's all for today. Next lecture we will be seeing some more complex flowcharts and algorithm. So today we have studied what is algorithm, what is flowchart, and how to write algorithm. We have taken very simple examples and how to draw the flowchart. So thank you. Goodbye all of you.